everyone knows someone who's struggling with their weight, or they've struggled with their weight themselves.
Yeah.
So everyone can relate on some level to the idea that people want to lose weight and can't. Everyone knows that, right? Like we have an obesity problem. Everyone wants to get fit, yet we don't. We see that people struggle with it. It's a very small percentage that actually lose a bunch of weight and keep it off. And why is that? It's because there's all this friction with doing what works and changing those habits. There's just too much friction.
Hey, welcome back to Women Disrupting Tech, and thank you for tuning in to episode 158. My name is Dirk-Jan Upkes, and this is the podcast that closes the funding gap in venture capital by amplifying the stories of female founders and their investors. In today's episode, we're going to talk about weight loss apps and how AI is transforming how they're built and how they help people succeed. I discussed this with Zoe Pineau. And Zoe Pineau is the co-founder and chief marketing officer at Fitly AI, a chat-based fitness and nutrition coaching platform. She's a certified personal trainer and nutritionist who lost 150 pounds, or nearly 70 kilos, in 9 months by treating weight loss as a mathematical process, tracking her macronutrients with discipline. She also started competing as a bodybuilder. When she explained how she lost this much weight to others, she kept hearing the same thing. People wanted to lose weight, but it was hard to stick to the plan, and existing fitness apps didn't provide enough support. In this episode, Zoe and I talk about how her weight loss journey inspired her to build Fitly AI. By listening, you'll learn why, particularly when building habits, simplicity in design is key to getting people the results that they want, how she pitches to investors who have never bothered about weight loss or tracking food intake, and why she believes fitness apps, like a lot of apps, are about to disappear. Plus, you'll hear what the role of humor is when keeping users on track on their weight loss journey. So when you're ready to discover how she turned fitness app frustration into an AI fitness coach, here's my conversation with Zoe Pineau. So, Zoe Pineau,
Hello.
welcome
Yes.
to Women Disrupting Tech. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's start with some background. How did you get into your current role as a co-founder of Fitly AI? And maybe also explain what it is.
Sure. Fitly AI is a fitness agent that tracks all of your workouts and meals and macros and all of your fitness data through chat. So I'm co-founder with my husband, and he is a web developer, and he's been a web developer for 25 years. And so I have been a stay-at-home mom for a while. I haven't actually worked in quite some time. And so I came into this role because in 2012, I lost 150 pounds, and fitness became a huge part of my life. And after I lost that weight, I began competing in bodybuilding and doing different sports. I do jujitsu now, and it became a huge part of my lifestyle. And so naturally, my husband also adopted this lifestyle, and he lost 80 pounds. And then after he lost 80 pounds, our son, who's 18 now, and he was 14 at the time, he lost 100 pounds. So all of us are sort of a fitness family. We have a gym in our basement, and it's a huge part of our life. I started coaching and training other people. And the method that I always have used is macro tracking. And so my husband, being a web developer, he had owned a medical software company here where we live, and he sold his half of it. And then he was just sort of looking for a new project. And naturally, where we're big macro trackers, it was like, let's create a fitness app. And so with him, I designed it and then he built it.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's how I came into this role.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, you said you lost quite some weight, and your husband did, and your son did as well. Um, and you lost it, I think, in 9 months, something along those
Yes, it
lines.
was a really my transformation was very dramatic. It was very fast and it in 9 months I lost 150 pounds and started competing in bodybuilding shows.
Yeah,
So it
that
was
is quite
very,
a
very drastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is pretty drastic. So, what did that process? What did it teach you about weight loss? About maybe also about working out, what works and what doesn't, or macro tracking?
Well, it was really a matter of changing my habits
Mm-hmm.
and first examining my habits, um, and it kind of admitting where I had some bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was really important, kind of facing where I was at, um, like stepping on the scale, looking in the mirror, and understanding what I was actually working with
Mm-hmm.
was really, really important. And then changing my habits and, um, your habits control your outcomes. So I really had to understand that and start living for building my habits for the outcome that I wanted rather than for the gratification right in the moment. So that was probably the biggest hurdle that I had to get
Yeah.
through at first.
So was it also a change of mindset then? Because
Big change
you
of
just yeah,
mhm,
because you were
but I
saying
didn't
that.
realize
Oh.
like, at first, when I wanted to lose weight, I didn't know how to lose weight. I didn't know that it was about my habits. It to even understand that took some time. Like, I just thought that it was genetics, or I thought it was just, like, not possible really for everyone to get real fit. That was the impression that I had until I actually, what made me realize was I went into a store just randomly, and I was kinda in my head, I was thinking, like, I have to do something about my weight, but I didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a store and I saw a book that was just about clean eating, like eating unprocessed foods,
Mm-hmm.
but the author had gone from being quite obese to competing. And when I read that book, I had this, like, realization that the only difference between me and her were my habits, and that she changed her habits and she changed her outcome, and that if I change my habits, I surely can change my outcome. So I really had to have that, like, realization that I have some control over my outcome, and that
Okay.
really changed my mindset.
And how did you get that control over the outcome? What was the one habit or maybe two that you had to change to get
I
there?
think it was discipline, learning to do something anyway, even if I didn't want to. So, I knew that the habits that I had to do, I didn't wanna do any of them. I didn't want to eat healthy food. I did not wanna exercise. I really hated exercise. I never had eaten healthy food in my life. I literally had never eaten a vegetable. I j I was the type of person that would be like, "Ugh," over broccoli, right?
Yeah.
So, it was really hard for me to just I I guess the biggest thing that I had to do was just get over that and do it anyway.
Yeah, but was
You
it a
know?
matter of doing it anyway, or was that how you made that change? Because I think it's quite drastic for a
It
person
was
who
very
has
drastic.
never eaten anything healthy to eating and living healthy.
Yeah. It's having done it, it sounds really simple because the way I would explain it is you just do it.
Mhm.
And that sounds so easy, but it's not easy. It for me to go from eating the way I was eating, which was insane amounts of food. I have a food addiction. So for me, stopping eating junk food was very much like stopping an addiction.
Mhm.
And it would be like I'd be doing great all day, and then 8 o'clock at night would come, and I would just be craving everything, and I'd be emotional about it, and I'd be upset and in tears about it. But something I knew that if I could just get past that and just, like, feel that and go through it, then the next morning, that feeling would be gone, and I would be happy that I didn't cave in. So it really was like I just had to do it anyway, even though I really didn't want to. I had to do all these things that I just did not want it. Like, everything in me was opposed to it, but I
Mhm.
wanted this outcome. I wanted the outcome so badly that I would have done anything to get it.
Yeah. So when we talked before, you said that weight loss is sort of a mathematical process.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is, everyone's body, like, no matter what weight or size you are, you have a certain amount of calories that it takes to support the size body that you are, and support the amount of muscle that you have, and support the composition of your body. And so that's a specific number. You need X amount. And if
Mhm.
you go below that amount, you will lose weight because you're not eating enough calories to support all of the weight anymore. So it really is a
Mhm.
matter of, like, calories in versus calories out, and then furthermore, what those calories are made up of, because that will change the actual makeup of your body as opposed to just your weight. But it's all mathematical, and you can design it down to a process, and you follow the process. I have never seen someone in 8 years of competing in bodybuilding and years of dieting and fitness, I've never seen somebody follow a plan and not get the results. It's
Okay.
always a matter of something gets in the way of following that plan.
Yeah. So what does get in the way of following that plan?
I think it is oftentimes the macro tracking, which is kind of
Okay.
it's
Maybe double click on the macro tracking. What is that?
so macro track, you have calories, which is
Mhm.
like your overall every food has a certain amount of calories, and there's 3 different types of calories. There's proteins, carbs, and fats. And those 3 things are just as important as the overall number of calories
Mhm.
because it changes the composition of your body. So if you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to lose fat, then you have to know what your macro ratios are
Yeah.
to get that right. It's like
So it's
baking a cake.
about yeah. So it's not only, let's say, eating a set amount of calories, but also, let's say, the ingredients that matter. So I think it's macronutrients.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
Yep,
your
macronutrients.
protein, your fibers, your
And it's just a really hard thing for people because I guess when I started, I there was no macro tracking when I started. There was just meal plans that you buy.
Mhm.
So I hired a trainer and I bought a meal plan and I just stuck to that meal plan. I didn't change anything on it. I ate exactly what was on it, whether I enjoyed it or not. And that's how we did it. But then when apps came, I
Mhm.
was already heavily into competing. Fitness is a huge part of my lifestyle. So for
Yeah.
me, macro tracking is not a big deal. I don't mind spending time macro tracking because it's my passion. But when other people would ask me, "What are you doing? How do you do it?" And I tell them, "I track my macros. This is how you do it." They just do not wanna do it. It's just so much information. It's too much. It's like they already have a job, they're already working, they don't wanna do that. But it is what works.
Yeah.
So
So
it's,
that's
if you want the results, then
you do need to track those. Yeah. Um, I think it's also where the
if you even if you hire someone or if you follow another dieting method, it's still going to come down to the macros that you're taking in. And so you can either know those numbers and be really efficient, or you can guess and step on the scale and it doesn't do what you expected, and then you're frustrated, and then it just causes all this like frustration. But for me, I follow this mathematical process. I expect that the scale is going to fluctuate, and when I step on it, it doesn't make me think, oh, this isn't working, because I know that the process mathematically works. So the scale number is just, it's a good tool, but it's not my focus anymore, because my focus is on just trusting the process. And that takes the stress out of it
Yeah.
for me because I can
Yeah,
just
no,
see.
I can imagine, because if you don't have to step on the weights, I only step on the weight scale like every half year, I think,
Mhm.
because I know about what my weight is, and then I once a year I need to go to the doctor for to do have my blood done, and then
Right.
automatically we test. We also register my weight, but that has been stable for pretty much since I started running. Let me put it that way. So yeah, but the I think the tracking the macronutrients was also a bit the start of the app, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because I wanted to make it more simple. I wanted to make it easier for people. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to sort of get rid of that friction that I was always met with when I'd tell people how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so our first solution was to we started with sort of a traditional basic fitness app. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it wasn't Fitly. It was called My Fit Suite, and it just was like a regular app with some AI tools. But the thing that was different about it, we felt, was that the user interface was so much easier to use. It was just more simple. But what we found with that was that people had people were beyond looking for a better app, and they were moving toward ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are frustrated with fitness apps. I've used many fitness apps over the years and I rely on them heavily, but I never really liked them, which is sort of why I felt like I could make a better one. But with ChatGPT, it is so much easier to use and to sort of get clarity on some things, but it does not keep track of everything as you're going. Like, it doesn't keep track of your macros, it doesn't keep track of your progress or your injuries or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. And it doesn't display anything that it's keeping track of. So that's kind of where we saw the gap, was that, okay, people obviously love the experience of chatting and doing things through the chat,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some things about the legacy apps that are missing. So we combine the two, and now we have all the traditional tools that those apps used to have, but we have a chat that uses those tools on your behalf. So instead of you logging all your food, you tell your chat what you ate and it will log all your food for you.
And so the
And
intelligence on
it
what
will
what
organize your data and analyze your data as you're going. So, and that's where people seem to get hung up, is like collecting the data, organizing the data, analyzing the data. So we just try to solve those three problems, or at least simplify them as best as we can. You can also use a photo. So that's really handy. You can take a photo of like a label and it will track it for you.
oh, that's also nice, because many people yeah
And then
also
things like, I do classes, like I do jujitsu classes, Pilates classes, and I like to track my classes. And it allows me to do that. I can track whatever style or type of workout that I've done. And that, I really like that. And
okay.
make notes so I can say like, "Oh, today in jujitsu, this is what we did," and I can look back and remember it.
Yeah. So one of the things you told me is that people don't stick to fitness app, at least not long term. What
No.
is not working that you solve for? Besides
Um,
the chat part, which
I think
is
it's
I
the
think.
overwhelm. I think immediately when you sign up for many of these apps, um, what they've done is they've continuously tried to get better. So all these apps that exist are trying to improve. So they're adding more features, more tools, more screens. And I think what that's done is caused overwhelm because you go into the app and immediately you're hit with a quiz or like some sort of a complicated setup to where you're just like, I don't want to do this at all anymore. I already worked out today. I'm already just eating chicken and rice. I don't want to do this. So
Hmm.
and I think people just, they feel like they're already working hard enough and they just don't want to add any more work to it. And so they stop. And they would prefer to play that guessing game of just eating healthy and not measuring anything than to try to track it.
Yeah. But how do you change that behavior then?
Well, I think that what we've done with making it just the experience of having a conversation rather than going and thinking numbers, it just really changes the whole process. I can go into my Fitly and say, I went to a 1 hour jujitsu class, and then I had a chicken sandwich, and then I had a liter of water, and it'll track all of that for me from that one sentence. Rather than the traditional apps, I have to go in, track each ingredient separately for my
Huh?
food, track my workout in another tool, and usually the apps don't track both workouts and food. Many of them are just one or the other.
Hmm.
And then if I wanted to ask a question, um, what other can you give me a workout plan that will support my jujitsu?
Hmm.
Then I can do that with Fitly. So it really just makes everything smoother and easier and removes all the friction and extra unnecessary thinking. It's like having an assistant. It does the admin work for you.
Okay, yeah, that's useful to put it that way because it just becomes a lot easier and you can do things in one go. So even if you forget
Yeah.
a lot of stuff at the moment, because usually people are like, oh, yeah, I have to still do that. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
maybe tomorrow, and then they don't and they forget about the whole app.
exactly. Like I went to jujitsu yesterday and I forgot to track it. So today I said, "Oh, I told my Fitly, I went to jujitsu yesterday and I forgot to track it." And it said, "Oh, no problem. I'll put it in for yesterday." So it tracked it for yesterday, when it happened, and it's just so much easier.
Yeah. So basically, it does a couple of things. One, it tracks your workouts, it tracks your food, so
Yep.
the intake and the output.
Yep. And it
In
will
terms of,
generate that for you. Like it'll tell you how much should you eat for your goals. And it has different diet preferences. So I like a paleo diet
hmm,
but it has 15 plus different diet types with different macro splits
hmm,
depending on what you like. Um, and different coaching styles. Like you can change the personality of your chat.
hmm.
And
Why does it matter?
well, for the personalities,
Yeah.
well, I think it matters as you're using it. Like for me, I like to know all about my food. So
Hmm,
my personality for my coach is a chef. And so my coach will tell me all about the food that I'm eating and why it's good for me or different ways to prepare it. It will it will be very focused on the food and the ingredients. There's some that are like an empathetic friend. So it's constantly cheering you on, giving you lots of good jobs, like very positive. There's one that's more like a drill sergeant, which is like, why are you eating a chocolate bar when this is not part of your goals? You know,
yeah.
there's one that's like a pirate if you just like comedy. So
Yeah.
there's there's all different kinds, and it's really just to make it a better experience and make it fun to talk to. And it really is like now my Fitly knows all about me. It knows what I like. It knows the type of workouts I like, the type of foods I like. And for me to switch to another app would be like leaving a trainer for another trainer because it's like a little
Yeah.
thing that
Usually,
knows me now.
yeah. Usually my experience is that the trainers leave me instead of me leaving them.
I've had that happen as well.
Uh, yeah, that's um so I want to just go back in time a bit because you initially developed a different app. And just
Right.
wanted to talk about what you learned when you were building that. Because initially you built an app that was just better, easier to use,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
didn't work.
Right. I think what we learned a lot, about business with that first app and about building a business and building a product. And, we really thought that to be better was enough at the time. And if someone had asked us at the time, like, "What's your differentiator?" We would have said, "It's better." And I think that what that app really made us realize is that better is just not enough. It's not enough to be a differentiator, especially when it's a saturated market and there's a lot of competition. You
Hmm.
really have to do something different that stands out, that is competitive. And I think we really understand that now after the whole process. We also spent 6 years building that other app compared
Yeah.
to this app, which took us about a month to build from idea to finish using AI.
Was that
So,
because the AI makes it a lot easier to build or?
yeah, it's because the AI has made my husband's development productivity like 100 times what it was.
Hmm.
And it's made my productivity 100 times what it was as far as design and marketing and learning and all of that goes into it. There's so much that goes into the app, and designing it just it took so long. It's
Okay.
amazing what AI has done,
Yeah. So
really. Sure.
talk me through what it takes to build an app the old way.
Well, the old way, I went from I didn't have any experience at all with graphic design or with copy or with marketing or any of that. So first I had to learn about all of that. Learn about what tools to use. And when I would describe to Brad, like, "Hey, let's build a fitness app," he was kind of like, "Well, I don't know what you're picturing. Like, you have to sort of lay out exactly what you are thinking." So I learned to use some graphic design apps, and I actually made like the screens, each individual screen of what the interface would look like. And then we had to go through where each button would lead, where each function would lead, all the logic behind it. Every individual piece was a little project in itself. And the difference from that to now using AI, where you can explain what you want to your AI in a paragraph and it will
Yeah,
do it all
press
for you.
enter.
Yeah, it's really it's
Yeah.
crazy.
But
And it's
does it also help you review the results though?
yes. Yeah. It helps us it helps us review users' results. It helps us review like mistakes. It helps us find bugs and mistakes and troubleshoot. It helps us research competitors and what they're doing and how they're doing it, um, and build strategy around that. It helps us with we're new. Well, my husband's not new to being in business, but I'm very new to it. So, and being the marketing side and doing, I'm doing events, I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing um, public speaking and learning about how to do all these things and sort of get involved with all these things. I used AI a lot to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's so, so, so helpful.
Yeah. You also went, you had a 6 year learning curve
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
learning design, graphic design, doing marketing
Yes.
also,
Lots
writing
of
copy.
marketing.
Do you
Yeah.
find the knowledge that you've built up useful?
Very
Now,
useful.
now that you have the AI, and I'll give you a bit of flavor of what I'm trying to get at. I learned to copyright the old way, so I've um, developed my own tone of voice.
Mhm,
And what I found really useful is that I was able to tell the AI this is, and also feed the AI with my own writings.
mhm.
But also it makes it easier for me to look at text or look at Canva designs in a way that I'm like, okay, yeah, but this doesn't like look really good. Maybe this should be a bit to the left or to the right.
Right.
What is your experience with that?
Yeah, I love writing, and I'm sort of, a writer anyway. I've written some children's books, so, like, I am good with writing, but what I use AI for mostly is to come up with, like, a plan of topics, a plan of content, and how to repurpose something that I've already written. So I could take something that I've already written and say, take this and repurpose it for Instagram, repurpose it for LinkedIn, and give me some other ideas of where I could go with this.
Hmm.
So what I really use it for the most is brainstorming. It helps me brainstorm, it helps me list, it helps me plan and strategize, and then I can plug all my own content into it. So it's kind of like it just gives me ideas. Even for visuals, I find also, like, I always want to adjust something. It's never quite me,
Yeah,
never quite right, but it just makes the whole process faster.
yeah. Now then, okay, so you also use the prior experience still in the AI age, but
Yeah, you
you.
really feel like like my husband checks all the code that is written by the AI.
Mhm.
Um, we still believe that it really needs like full oversight because it does make mistakes and we make mistakes in our prompts. So if we don't do that, it'll get away from us, I think. So we're very meticulous to monitor everything that it's doing and check everything that it did and make sure that it is exactly what we want.
Mhm. Okay. So out of curiosity, yeah, there's a lot of debate on privacy and AI.
Mhm.
Um, People store heaps of, well, let's say really personal data. Maybe I don't know if food choice is a personal thing, but I think, yeah, you could argue it is. How do you protect that data uh, from abuse, and how do you? I guess also a question that I have is how do you use it in your prompting to ask better questions?
Well, Brad is like a security person. He's an expert with uh web security, cybersecurity. So we're very secure, but also you can access your data if you want it and you don't have to give it to us if you don't want to either. And so, but it will give you a better experience because the AI will use it to get to know you and it will tell you, you can go into your Fitly and say like, I think there's a button that says something like what my coach knows about me.
Hmm.
It will tell you everything that it's like all the information it's keeping about you to know you.
Hmm.
And it will use that to give you advice, to give you next steps, to just remember the context of everything going on. Like if you tell it that you struggle with binge eating and then you keep tracking ice cream, it might be like, "Hey, are you binging right now?
Yeah.
Because you I know you have a problem with that." Or it might say something like it knows I do jujitsu, so it might say something like, "Make sure you eat this many carbs before you go into your jujitsu class because it will help you to perform your best," you know? So it'll just give advice based on who it knows you to be,
Okay. And that's also how where people can find it is also like in the I
like in the
think
menu.
yeah, in the menu it's somewhere. Okay. Uh, so you and your husband are a team also on the building the app.
Yes. Well, he does all the building and I
Yeah.
do all the marketing, but we are we're just in continuous communication about all of it, so we're just always on the same page with
Yeah.
everything.
And he has a technical background and you don't. So how does it work? How does it help?
Well, it it helps a lot because, I really am my own like, our own target customer. I'm the
Mhm.
perfect customer for this. I'm an avid tracker. I rely if I like an app, I'm gonna pay for it. I use it every single day, all day, and so I'm the user, and the flow for the user is often nothing like the flow programmatically. So
Mhm.
I might be like, "Oh, you know what, Brad? It would be really cool if the app did this." And he
Mhm.
might say, "Well, programmatically, that's gonna be really complicated and may cause problems." So then we can reiterate and find something that is a good flow that is both a good flow programmatically and a good flow for the user, which just makes the whole thing better. So, because usually what would happen is if I wanted to go hire somebody, I would go and find someone and hire them, and they probably don't know anything about fitness and aren't a user themselves and aren't in contact constantly the way they like Brad is seeing the way I live, right? He knows my experience as the user and what's good for me and what's not. Very different than me trying to communicate it to someone who doesn't know me or doesn't live with me. It's just it's a lot better. It's a lot better experience. It can really be tailored to exactly what I want as the user,
Mhm.
but still efficient programmatically.
Yeah. You're also, I think, in the process of fundraising.
Yes, we are in the process of fundraising. We're bootstrapping right now. Fundraising will definitely accelerate what we're trying to do, but
Huh?
we're gonna move forward ahead no matter what. Um, but yeah, we're in the process of fundraising right now. We're just looking for a small amount as a seed fund.
How do you explain something where clearly you're really passionate about it? You're your own ideal customer, I
Mhm.
would say. How do you explain that to an investor who's maybe not really fitness savvy? Or do you look at that if you talk to investors? Like, is this investor even, does he look fit? Yes or no? Or,
Yeah, it can be difficult. I have used in the past. I have done a pitch for the Ignition Fund, which
hmm
is it's a government funding here where we live, and it comes around every spring and every fall. So we applied for that with our old app. And when I did that, I led with my transformation pictures because anytime someone sees my transformation pictures, they're always like, "Wow, how did you do that?" And then I tell them what I did, and then they don't wanna do it. So I lead with that because even if those people in the room aren't fit, they can see that I had a transformation, and they probably themselves feel like, "Well, I don't wanna do that." Like, you know what I mean? If I was to tell them, "Well, this is how I did it. I tracked my macros," it's not like they're all gonna go start tracking the macros,
no,
right?
no, but that was exactly what I was trying to get to. How do you convince, I guess the question is, investors who are maybe not really likely to start tracking their macronutrients right away or even their fitness behavior right away. Although I actually do know quite a few investors who are like have these watches and apps and what have you.
Yeah.
But how do you convince people who are maybe not in there? Or do you actually select those down
I think
straight away?
I haven't specifically really thought about that, um, because I think everyone knows someone who's struggling with their weight or
Mhm.
they've struggled with their weight themselves.
Yeah.
So everyone can relate on some level to the idea that people wanna lose weight and can't. Everyone knows that, right? Like,
Mhm.
we have an obesity problem and wants to get fit, yet we don't. We see that people struggle with it. It's a very small percentage that actually lose a bunch of weight and keep it off. And why is that? It's because there's all this friction with doing what works and changing those habits. There's just too much friction.
Yeah. So another development that I saw is there's obesity.
Mhm.
That's one side, but there's also these I forget what they're called, but they're pills that you can now take. There's medication
Like
that
Ozempic and
initially used for to combat diabetes type
yeah,
2, I think.
GLP-1.
Yeah, GLP-1. So how do you sort of explain that how the competition is between
Well,
those pills, which is the easy way out, as I call it, my words, versus doing the hard work and actually changing behavior and doing workouts and yeah, really
well,
changing your lifestyle.
I know that for me, at my heaviest, when I went to my doctor, she told me that the only thing I could do was have surgery or try hypnotism. There was no GLP-1s at this time, but she told me there was nothing I could do. So I left that day thinking, there's nothing I can do. A professional just told me there's nothing I can do and I have to have surgery. So that's part of why I didn't even think it was possible, is because this professional had told me that it's not possible,
Uh-huh.
but that wasn't true. Once I learned that it was possible, I mean, thank God I didn't have that surgery. I'm so glad I didn't have that surgery. I would probably be not very well if I had had it. And my habits would never have changed, and I would have just
Yeah, but also the
mhm.
surgery without changing the habits doesn't work
Yeah,
either. That
right.
I do know.
Yeah. Either way, you have to learn to change the habits. There's no getting around it. And even so, when you stop, the weight's gonna come back. Every time I gain weight back, it's because my habits go back to how they were. I start
Yeah,
changing my
yeah,
habits
that's
back to
the
how they were.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how does your app then help people really sustain this? Besides making it easy to track,
I
is there
think
also motivation in there? Like,
yeah. Well, you know what I find personally for me
uh,
is because now at the beginning of COVID, I gained quite a bit of weight back. I was just about to go to the Arnold Classic, which was like it's a huge sports festival in Ohio in the
uh,
States. And I was planning to go to that. And then when COVID hit, I canceled that trip and I gained a whole bunch of weight back. And then just a whole bunch of things were going on in my life. And it's been a struggle for me to get back to where I was because I am a person who is a perfectionist and I tend to feel like if I have one off day, then my whole week is ruined.
doomed. Yeah,
But I find what this app has done for me is it's allowed me to focus on the consistency. So I just tell it what I'm doing and then one day I'll have an off day and it will remind me like, "Well, wait a minute though, you tracked 4 days out of the 6 this week and you've actually you've done it." And it will remind me the same way like a coach might remind you and kind of motivate you. And it just I can look back and see the data for myself that I actually am making progress, even if it's a little bit slower than what I typically do. It's still progress. It's still better than it was yesterday. And that is a really good thing for me. So I think it will be good for other people.
yeah, yeah. I think that's really beautiful, especially the perfectionism is
Yeah.
something
And
I
with the numbers,
really yeah. Either you do
because
something right or you don't do it.
yeah. And on our app, we have a mode called the gentle mode where it doesn't show you your numbers, but it tracks your numbers for you. So it just shows you a percentage. It'll tell you you've eaten 50% of your carbs today, but it won't tell you exactly how much you have left, which just is really nice. It's a very nice thing to know that it is being tracked. You're still getting that data. You're not ignoring the process, but you're not. hyper focused on these numbers, because at the end of the day, it's the consistency that matters. It's not like every little number. It's just it's an important thing to keep this data so that you can keep awareness to what you're doing and where you're going, right?
I wanted to switch to one last question before we close. You
Sure.
said that apps are going to disappear over time and that agents will take over. So, how
Yeah.
does your app play into that development?
Well, I can see right now Fitly is an agent that you can integrate with any LLM. So you can like hook up your ChatGPT to it and you can talk to it through your ChatGPT. You could say, "Hey ChatGPT, tell my Fitly that I ate blah 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 today," and
Yeah.
it will track it in Fitly for you behind the scenes. So I think what will happen is, and Brad thinks, my husband thinks, whenever in the future we think everyone will have their own preferred agent that they use,
Mm-hmm.
such as ChatGPT or Claude or
Cloud.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they will just say to it, "Hey, I went out for lunch today. I had a chicken sandwich. I spent $10 and I have a dentist appointment tomorrow and I have a workout at 5." And it will track everything from what you spent for your finances, your workout, your food, your calendar, all from that one sentence, using tools behind the scenes, using agents behind the scenes. So we think that's where it's going. So right now Fitly is just fitness, but there's no reason that it can't have a calendar scheduler in there, right? Where it can also schedule everything for you. So I think that's where things are going.
Okay.
And you'll have your ChatGPT, and then you'll choose which tools you wanted to use behind the scenes, which agents,
Mm-hmm.
and just talk to all your agents through your chat.
Okay. So, to what LLMs can I hook it up currently? ChatGPT,
Current,
Claude.
Currently, ChatGPT, Claude.
Okay, those two. Okay. Any more planned for the near future?
Yeah, it'll be integrated with all of them, and also with hardware too. Like you can hook it up to your Fitbit or your uh, health kit or whatever, and it will keep all that info for you.
Okay, cool. So I'm building an app too, but it's not
Mhm,
on fitness. It's well, maybe on financial fitness of sorts. It's
mhm.
a funding coach, AI based, to connect female founders and investors. From what you've learned building an app, how can I build the AI funding tool so that it actually helps female founders, also in terms of consistency and
Mhm.
tracking of results?
That's a good one. Well, I would say like one big thing that we really had to sort of learn and work our way through was understanding what funding we were ready for, or what type of funding to look for at what stage. So
Hmm.
immediately when we started, we were like, let's just email investors and ask for funding. And we realize now that there is a little bit of positioning involved at
Hmm.
different stages, and that different stage funding tends to look for different criteria. And
Yep.
so I think like just that information alone, like just all laid out in sort of a checklist of readiness for seeds funding slash series A slash, all the different types,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
how to seek, who to ask, who to go to, when to go to them, how to approach them
Hmm.
would be really helpful. And then maybe some sort of a tracking system to, I really like to track everything that we've done over the last 30 days. And then
Uh-huh.
I like to make sort of a little report that shows like a business update to show everything we've accomplished over the last 30 days and then what we're planning for the next 30 days.
Yeah.
And that's been really, really helpful. So maybe if you could add something like that.
Oh, that's actually quite cool. I didn't think of it that way, but
It's been really helpful for us to just, because sometimes we feel like we're not doing enough, or like sometimes we feel like, oh, like I don't know, like are we growing the way we
uh,
think that we should be? And then we'll look at that and be like, wow, we did a lot. We
yeah.
actually did so much. We made so much progress, and then we're just motivated again, right? And we can send it to people who are following us. We can send our updates to investors and to anyone who sort of has us on their radar, and I think that's really helpful too.
Yeah. It also increases visibility and keeps you indeed
Yeah.
on the radar of those people. So yeah, actually, I have to really wrap my mind around how I can build that, but I think it's a very
Mm.
good suggestion. So thank you very much for that. Um,
Yeah, no problem.
and also thank you very much for the conversation. If people want to learn more about you and connect with you, or learn more about Fitly AI, where would you like to send them?
They can go to www.fitly.chat,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's the Fitly website, or they can look for me on Instagram. It's just my name, Zoe Pineau,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the best place to find me. You could also find me on TikTok. I've just started on TikTok, but I'm going to be documenting my own progress using Fitly over the next while. And that is the Zoe Pineau is the handle for the TikTok if you want to see
Okay.
that.
And we'll include all those links in the show notes, of course. So, Zoe Pineau, thank you very much for an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Listeners, thank you very much for listening. And until the next episode, as always, keep being awesome. Well, that's it. Thank you for listening to episode 158 of Women Disrupting Tech, titled How She Turned Fitness App Frustration into an AI Fitness Coach with Zoe Pineau. Zoe and I hope that you found our conversation as helpful and inspiring as we intended it to be. And if you have any questions for Zoe, please leave them in the comment sections on Spotify, YouTube, and/or Apple Podcasts. I do read all the comments and I'll make sure you get an answer. If you want to connect with Zoe or learn more about her platform Fitly AI, please check out the links in the show notes. As usual, you can find the show notes at womendisruptingtech.blog and on my Substack via the links in the caption. There you can also find the links to download the Fitly AI app and to my new fundingcoach.ai tool. If you found this episode useful, please take a moment to rate and review the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And if you don't follow us yet, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Every week, you'll hear how another founder or investor is working to close the funding gap, one conversation at a time. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, as always, keep being awesome.